We are taking a little pause on the content that we've been doing. Actually, no, I need that still up here. So all the expression mats, things like that. So you don't have any new homework for that today. We are going back because we need to fix some of these issues from the previous mastery. So while you start on your follow-up, we're then going to dive into this once if I'm holding the right class, which I feel like I'm not. Jalen, Riley, yeah. There's a school there. Casey. Even if you got a mastery, this follow-up assignment is your homework tonight. Here's how this is going to work. So I need you to hear me say, don't lose this. We are going to go through and correct this together. Then hopefully have time to start on your follow-up. And you on Monday, or hopefully Monday, are going to turn in the mastery that I'm giving you right now with the follow-up stapled on top of it. So if you're really bad at keeping track of things, walk yourself over to either here, where there are two staplers, or over here, or you guys can pass it around. Staple the follow-up on top of your mastery that you're getting back right now. Because you're going to turn them in together.
So are we correcting this and then getting it?
We're correcting it together.
So we're getting basically just starting mastery.
No. Your follow-up is how you're going to get a mastery.
Oh.
That's why it's yours to do for homework, but you can work together if you want. We can work together. And Riley, can you let me just finish passing out paper real quick here? I'm not going to be able to answer your question. All right, we just lost a little bit of time with that announcement. Do you guys have any other questions that you just didn't quite want to ask Mr. Sherg, but you want to ask like one of us?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, come on, ask them.
Is that the one?
Has everyone gotten back their mastery? Has everyone gotten back their mastery? Did I get yours? All right. So here's the deal. We're going to go through and look at each of these individually. So Riley, to answer your question of why did you miss that, like we'll cover that here as we go over it together. A lot of us tripped up on the linear models a little bit. That's because we started that back before break. So look at your problem from the linear model, and while I recenter my board, try to figure out what you did that messed you up on that one. How did you get goofed? Remember that the percents go on the one part of it, whether it's top or bottom doesn't matter, but then numbers go on the other part. Some people tried to give me just like the same thing with top and bottom. I think here the top was our percentages and the bottom was numbers, or vice versa. So 64 being a number, sorry I said that backwards, your percents go down here. So X is a percent value, notice 0% to 100%. How many sections are there in this line?
Not a lot.
10, because I tried to make it easy for you. So there's 10 sections. What is each section worth percent-wise? 10%. So this X is 20%. It's 2 of the sections. Now, if we then look at my numbers, 64 takes up 4 of the sections. A lot of us just decided, well, let me figure out what one section's worth. So 64 divided by 4 tells me what each section will be worth, which is 16. So if each section's worth 16, 16, 32, 48, right? So Y should be 48. Questions on part A there with the linear model. B then, same sort of thing, but it doesn't break up the line evenly. It splits it off center. So it tells you there's a total of 150, 45 in this section that we're trying to figure out. Most of us did all right with this to figure out what percent that section is. We would do the 45 out of the 150, which comes out to be what percent? Who's got the X value? Yeah. 30? Which means Y is 70%. And Z, we all figured out, was what was left over from 150, or from 45 up to 150. Any questions on number 1? You guys have to speak up today, because I'm going to move as fast as we can, but I will slow down / stop if you need me to. So please, I'm going to take a moment here, get out my answer key, and make sure no one else has questions, because more of us missed that question than I thought we would. Not like a horrible thing, just saying it was surprising to me. Now there is a problem almost identical to 2 on your follow-up. And I think a lot of us forgot the easiest way to work with percents. There's a lot of ways to work with percents. We can use the percent equations, whatever. But guys, what does percent mean? Kevin.
Out of 100.
Out of 100. So when it says her percentage is 85%, I could go ahead and set up 85 out of 100. This is what she makes, and this is what she takes, right? If she takes 100% of the shots, right? She takes every shot. She makes 85%. Are we with me? 85% just out of 100. So then it tells us if she attempts 410 shots. Attempts 410, that's the total. How many does she make? Well, how do I finish out this proportion? I'm taking a day off of random cards. I don't want to put people on the spot. Ethan?
You do 85%.
We could do 85% of 410, because that's what the problem tells me. She makes 85% of the shots she takes, so multiplication. Or I could determine how the proportion works. How do we go from 100 to 410? Well, forget about that. How do I go from 10 to 41? Times 4.1. And if we do that on the top, we get approximately, and I accepted answers that were just pretty close to this. She makes about 349 shots. Came out to be 348.5. You can't make half a shot unless your arrow breaks in half or something. So yeah, around 349. Questions? Kevin?
Actually, I saw this in a different way.
There are a lot of ways to do it. So as long as you were able to get it, yeah, there are multiple ways to figure this out. You could figure out what 10% of the shots she takes is and multiply up from there. You could do a lot of things. 3 is also percent application. I tried to lump the problems together, guys. So if you were struggling in a section, just move to a different section and then come back to it. A tip of $5.60 on a $40 bill, if you wanted to accurately sketch this out with a linear model, which I did not end up if you didn't have a linear model, I didn't count it wrong if you got the right answer. Would the tip make my bill less or make my bill more? More, right? Of course. So if I linear model this, I'm going to end up out at $45.60. But to figure out what percentage that is, and you guys might want to write this down, anytime we're looking for percent, we do a division. The part we're dealing with divided by the whole or the total. So part divided by whole is normally what you'll hear said, so I'm going to go ahead and just write that as whole. The part he tipped divided by the total bill. Part divided by whole. Now that comes out to be a decimal, so what do we do with that decimal number? Multiply by 100. This comes out to be a 14% tip, which is kind of lame. If his service was bad, it's okay. But normally try to tip 20. 20% is pretty standard. And that's only because in America, we don't pay are like restaurant workers enough. So like the people eating have to pay them a little bit more. If you go over to other countries, tipping isn't a thing because they pay their people more. And it depends on what country you go to. But some places like they won't accept tips. They're like, no, like I make plenty of money. Any questions?
I don't.
Yeah, but like some places have a policy of like you can't. You know what I mean? Like, and some places in America will do that of like we're gonna pay you a lot, but you cannot accept tips because we don't want our customers to have to do that sort of thing. Almost everyone got A wrong. If you didn't get it wrong, good on you. I applaud you. You all forgot what the probability of 1 actually means. Almost everyone did 1 out of something. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a probability of 1, which if I made it into a percent, what percent represents 1? 100. This is something that has to happen. If I drop or if I let go of my pen, it falls to the floor. Has a probability of 1. If I jump, I come back down. Has a probability of 1. Is Mr. Hudson going to teach class too loudly? Probably has a probability of 1. It has to be something that is certain. So on your paper, if you got this wrong, I would write on here the word certain. This describes an event that is certain it will happen. Whereas, and this is why I asked the question in B, what's a probability of 0 tell you? Something that is impossible. So a lot of you had good answers on that one, like I sprout wings and fly home, or different things like that. Just, excuse me, something that can't happen. Like, Mr. Short grows hair again. Can't happen.
Wait, no, he shaved his head.
I know, I'm joking.
Are you really sure?
I mean, he's only kind of my boss now.
He works out one day and then he shaves his head the other day. He told us.
The fact that you know this about your principal is only kind of awkward.
He told us.
Give an example of a probability of a half. What's the easiest probability of a half? A lot of us used it here. Greta? Yeah, but what event? What thing that we can do? Eva? Flip a coin.
Oh, that's what I did. Or, no, I didn't.
And then D was only slightly dangerous because experimental probability is what we saw happen, not what we predict based off knowing things. So I get 3 tails out of 10 flips. That experimental probability is 3/10. What's the other kind of probability? If it's not experimental, theoretical. Good work, guys. Questions? This is also why I wonder if I can reuse the same tests year after year and why I change my tests.
Wait, do they have to turn us back in?
Yes, I specifically already said staple it together. So wait, you heard me, but you're still asking it.
I did hear you.
Pull my hair out. All right, 5. We maybe I'll own this. Okay, so I'm sorry. We maybe didn't do enough with this. Some of you were good on this, but the problem on the follow-up, I think, is written better. It's about like getting dressed, and we talked about those situations in class. With the coin flips, guys, we are talking about the results that could happen. And here we have 3 different coins. It's not that the result could be a dime or could be a penny. We're flipping a dime, we're flipping a penny, and we're flipping a nickel. So I would encourage you to fix this on your test if you got it wrong. We start just at the top of our tree. Doesn't really matter. And we split based off what can happen, not what we have. When I flip the dime, what can happen? Heads or tails.
You could get heads or you could get tails. Or you could get tails.
So that, and I could write off to the side, that's my dime event. Then, regardless of getting heads or tails, I flip my nickel. What could happen? Heads or tails.
Oh.
Now it's making sense. Then regardless of what happened there, I flip my penny. Heads or tails off each of these.
That was so much easier than I did.
I know.
Me too.
Guys, I was sitting at home grading these just like, guys, tree diagram, it's what can happen. Dave was laughing at me. I swear I've talked about him enough, you should know. He's my friend that lives with us right now, but he teaches math also. So I vent to him about math things. And I really think we probably just didn't do enough with this. And that I asked you the wrong question. On the follow-up, the one about getting dressed, right? This would be, we get out of bed, whatever. I put on pants, I choose what pants I put on. I put on a shirt, I choose what shirt I put on. Right, so I'm just trying to prep you for your follow-up.
I don't understand how I don't know how to do that honestly.
So guys, some of this comes back to we didn't focus enough on our practice, but can I have eyes? Because I'm hoping that we hear what's going on. Hey Sophia, you're kind of wasting my resources right now, and it also kind of makes me feel like you don't want to pay attention. So it's kind of hurting my feelings a little bit, to be honest. This is why I'm posting answers now. Why the answer keys are in Schoology. As you're doing your practice work, make sure it's right. Make sure you understand it, because if you did it wrong on the practice and you never checked, is this right? You might have told yourself that wasn't correct, and then in your brain you're telling yourself the wrong thing. Yeah.
So I do say and it's plus it use y equals 3 in this case.
Yeah.
It's over fractionated to plus 1.
So you went and checked the answers.
So I was really confused. So I just I got the answer, but I figure out how they did it and because they add them together and they divide them.
Yeah. So seeing the answer helped figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
That's how I survived calculus in college. The second time I took it. If I haven't said this, I didn't pass calculus the first time I took it. It was Calc 3, but for what it's worth.
I actually got this one right.
So I tell that story to say everyone struggles with different things. I struggle with calculus. Most people got this right. We're making a sandwich, and I think that helped because you could think about it practically. I choose my bread, white or wheat. So you really kind of have to write it out. Then I choose my what goes in the sandwich: turkey, roast beef, tuna, fish, or cheese. Actually, tree diagram's kind of annoying here because turkey, roast beef, tuna, fish, cheese.
Yeah, it was really annoying.
What else could I make instead of this?
This.
A table, right? So I could show this using a probability table because there's only 2 things to choose. Once I have that third thing, the table doesn't really work, but I can do bread type, white or wheat. Then I can do turkey, roast beef, tuna. Sorry, no, let's use fish. Turkey, roast beef, it is tuna. Oh, tuna fish is just one, sorry. Tuna fish, the line just broke it up. And then cheese. How many options are there? 8. You don't even have to fill it in. Once you make the table, because this doesn't ask you anything else, just 8. Questions? I don't want any of this to come off as you should have gotten it right. It's okay that we make mistakes. This chapter took us forever to get through. It's not you, it's winter, right? A lot of stuff happened. We need to move faster. Not and ask questions if you have questions. I just need to keep moving. This one was complicated for people because you misunderstood what it was saying. Maybe I should have been more specific with it. If you imagine your bag, so here's your bag, right? 2/3 of it is yellow. Draw it. So, yellow, yellow. Then the same bag. This is where people got confused. It's the same bag. Has a probability of green being, well, so up here, probability of blue or green. Most of us got that. It's a 1/3, right? This is the other colors. But then it tells me green is a 4th. So we can make green a 4th. And honestly, if I go back and write things in, we know this is a third. We know this is a third. What would be a common denominator between thirds and fourths? 12ths. So this is really 4 12ths. This is really 4 12ths. This is 3 12ths. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. What do I have left? 1 12th. That's it. Make it easier. Don't just try to solve it in your head. Like, draw a picture. I know I'm not very artsy, but I encourage you, draw a picture to help understand it. Then, if there are 24 marbles in the bag, and this is your blue section, how many will be blue? Well, 1 out of 12, or 2 out of 24. Questions on this? Questions? Mario's 2 spinners to use pick his vehicle. I think most of us did pretty well on this. Our spinners, right, equal spinners. We need 1 to be fourths. We need 1 to be thirds. I should have somewhere, either on your test paper or on your work paper. Did you continue working on that on a different day? That might have been what happened, that I didn't realize to regrade it. Maybe not enough, I don't know. Sedan, truck, like I'd have to look at it specifically to tell you why I wrote that. Van, motorcycle, white, blue, green. Our table, pretty straightforward, ends up having 12. Sedan, truck, van, motorcycle, white, blue, green. So then, this is where the harder part of the problem was. What's probability of spinning a white van, okay, here? What's that probability? Well, 1 out of 12. Right? It's one of the spaces out of 12. Just tell you guys like a teacher thing, but like when we do stuff like this, review things, whatever, we're pretty good at paying attention, like who actually looks like they care. And then with the mastery cycle, it's kind of interesting when somebody turns something in again and it goes back in the cycle and that person was not paying attention when we did the review of it. So if you're one of those people like half paying attention, I would encourage you, give me more. Then the one that some people were like, blue sedan or green motorcycle, this means I'm happy with either of them. So that probability, instead of being 1 12th, is 2 12ths, right? So I'd be happy with either of them. Or 1 6th, right? 2 12ths can be 1 6th. Purple truck, what's that probability? 0. Most all of us got that because you said there is no opportunity to get purple. Questions? We did pretty well on that problem, actually.
Oh yeah, I had all.
I had a professor who would like, if you were starting like nod off or whatever, he would just like do one of these to your table. Because if you were front row, sometimes if you were in the back, they'd throw his chalk at you. Because college professors can get away with more than teachers like me can. If I threw chalk at a kid, I'd probably get in trouble. All right.
I've done that.
I was making a reference and it slipped out of my hand and then I felt really bad. It didn't hit the kid or anything. So a triangle has a perimeter of 48 feet. Guys, that's the total. A few of us, hey, did you see my email for time shifts?
No.
I sent something to fix our schedule now because we lost that like 12, 15, like 12-ish minutes. I essentially took 12 and divided it between the classes.
Okay.
So guys, you...
Robert's teaching.
Sweet, thanks. You want not the third side to be 48. You want the sum of everything to be 48. So start testing things out. I don't know, some of us, actually, because it's a nice number, started with 10. Who started with 10? A few of you actually wrote on there like, wait, this was too easy. If you started with 10, the second side is 5 feet longer, so that's 15. And then the third side is 3 feet longer than twice the first, and that becomes 23, and miraculously, that's it.
I tried.
If you started with the nice 10, and actually when I was scrolling through the test bank, this was one of the nicer 5D problems. So I was like, oh,
And it made me
if they start with 10, that like,
Yeah, I started with 80 when I did my first time. I thought 10
think about it, because I wanted to point something out. I had a couple people start with pretty big guesses. If your perimeter's 48, and you can tell from the problem, you're guessing the smallest side, don't have a huge guess. A couple people guess like 20, 30, like, that's too big, because we're talking about you're guessing your smallest side. Do I need to do any more examples of just like, if you guess 8, be like 8 plus 5, and then like 16 plus 3, so that'd be 19, and you'd be too low, and you gotta adjust from there.
Oh, you're adding 4 basically every time. It goes from 40 to 44 to 48 to 52.
Well, because of what happens with the 3 sides.
Yeah.
When you bump the one up by 1, you bump the others up in a certain way, that's why you add 4. Tilly and Lily, you work on a job together. Together, they earn 510. And Tilly earns twice as much as Lily. Well, some of you guys were fine with that, but I need to do this, so Lily is my guess. So with a total of 510, guys, some of you did really well with this, so I want like some of you guys to pat yourself on the back. You thought through, like, wait a minute, if she makes twice what she makes, it's really like X and 2X. So in total, it's really like 3X. I had a few people who straight up just took this, divided it by 3, and said, she gets 1 part, she gets 2 parts. Because Tilly makes twice. Now, even if you didn't process through that cleanly, like maybe we start with 200. And we get 400 there, and that is 600, so that's too much. Right? So I bump it down. Maybe I try 150. And I get 300, and that's not enough, right? 450. Where your answer lands is 170. If you divide this by 3, you get 170. This becomes 340, and we have 510. Questions? Now, I will divulge to you. I sometimes put questions in order of hard, medium, easy, because I'm trying to build those test-taking skills of if I struggle on one, just move on, come back to it. So the next one with Aju and Tanisha and Alicia, there are 3 of them, but still these numbers are smaller, right? Less guesses to work with. Tanisha's twice as old as Aju. Alicia is 2 years old, so they reference that, and then they reference Tanisha. So I'd probably line this up with my A, my T, and then my E. Because if I guess her age of 5, twice as old, so if I say X, 2X, so twice as old, Alicia's 2 years older than Tanisha, so 2X plus 2, right? 2 years. So this is 10, and this is 12. We're trying to see, do they add up to 37? I got 27? But, okay.
How about 8.7?
What about 7? I just don't want to bump up 1. It seems too slow for me. So then twice would be 14. Give it another 2, and you get 16.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Be careful with how you built your table. We have age A, twice of age A, twice of age A plus 2 more. Questions? And then it comes down to order of operations. You guys will still have 10 minutes to work on your stuff, don't worry. Guys, I still, when I'm working with kids, like for my brain, I write this out. There's no reason not to. It takes you like 3 seconds. But it activates your brain to think through the process. Do everything you can in the parentheses. But when I come to the parentheses, what do I do first over here? The multiplication. We can't do the subtraction first. We have to follow the order of ops inside of here. So, order of operations. If you abbreviate it, just ops. So 3 times 2, 6. Again, multiplication first. 3 times 2, 6. Hey guys, I made this problem really easy. Like, I don't feel bad if you got it wrong. I was just trying to make it, like, not big numbers. So this comes out to be 1. This comes out to be 1. 6 plus 3
It's
times.
1. Wait, no.
So then, what do I do now? Have I finished my parentheses? Yeah, and I could actually get rid of them if I want and just replace it with multiplication. So I don't have any exponents. Now I look for multiplication division. Oh, this is all multiplication. 3 times 1. Okay, that's just 3. What's 6 plus 3? 9. And then here, same process. Actually, I'll leave the PEMDAS written up there. I always want to encourage you to write your work out, but whatever makes sense in your brain. Guys, when I look at a problem like this, I would do work kind of like that. But then I'm going to rewrite the problem, but this is to, like, clue my brain in. Right? That multiplication can happen because it's in parentheses. This multiplication can happen because just order of operations tells me to. Now I can rewrite and say 14 times 2 plus 3 minus, okay, that's 4 we said, all over, oh wait, I can do this multiplication too, right? So that's 16. 16 minus 9. So then, what's 2 plus 3
5.
minus 4? Oh, hey, look, another 1. So we have 14 times 1
Over.
over 7, and 14 over 7
2.
comes out to be 2.
Okay, that's
So you have, assuming that the team got my email, you have 9 minutes to work on your follow-up. If you have yet to, staple it to your original test, do that now. Because I need to see your original test when you turn in your follow-up. The reason is if you're still making the same mistakes, you had no growth between, right? We want to see growth between when we first took this and now with the follow-up. Evan?
What is the follow-up due?
As soon as you can get it in, like Monday, Tuesday. So, great question from Kevin that's going to make me clarify. I'm collecting this week's practice work on Tuesday. Let's go ahead and say your goal is get the follow-up in by Tuesday. With that said, I will wait to post your mastery grade until after Tuesday. So if you get your follow-up done and you get it turned in, even if you're progressing now, which I have written down, but even if you have a P now, it might not go in as a P. If you get it fixed, it'll go in as a mastery. Okay? You have 7 minutes. You could probably almost be done with this by the time you leave. Potentially. Notice I didn't put order of operations problem on here because we're going to continue doing that. Like, that's not something to apply. If you got it wrong, you need to fix that. You need to, like, be able to correctly solve these things. But we're going to continue doing that a lot. I wanted to specifically do, like, the chapter 5. Yeah. Why is the what? Because that's spying and torture. It's in the village of spying and torture.
Somebody Google that and see what comes up.
Have you ever seen, what's the movie? Is it Matilda?
Yeah.
with the pokey. That's what that made me think of. I didn't write that. CPM, that's like a CPM problem, but somebody wrote as spiny torture middle school. Yeah. So 35%, I would put over 100. Percent things out of 100. And then relate to the 6th grade classrooms on top. Probably should write up here. Right, so percent tells me out of 100. Then, though, I'm going to make this proportional. Is the other number you have 6th grade, or is it total? So, where does it go? Which is 6th grade and which is total?
Oh, 35 is
So if this is your 6th grade, this is your 6th grade. If this is your total, this is your total. Now you could also, it's not just 35. You could also do 35%, Kevin. You can do 35% of, and just multiply by the total, but you don't know the total, right? So that's, you can't do this here. Hey, so I don't know if somebody released early or what, but you can go ahead and start packing up.
My clock is different.
What?
I still have 5 minutes.
Yeah. So I don't care. I don't have to release. I just will keep working, I guess. Somebody released early.
DJ, hurry up.
I can't.
I told you it's 3 p.m.
You have like 4 minutes.
8